Hello everyone, I am deciding to do another video and just wanted to talk about some things that I have been doing in honor of my mom, and also things that I'm doing to try to seek out some form of justice for my family. So, since my mother contracted COVID-19 at a nursing home after getting poor quality care, and the fact that the nursing home admitted patients when they had an active infection, that facility, I believe, according to the Telegram, has reported that there is a total of 21 patient deaths that were connected to that facility in Fitchburg. So that's almost 50% of the COVID-19 related deaths for Fitchburg. Now, I know some people are looking at statistics and they're like, 1% this, 0.5% this, but I'm not looking at the information like my mom is a statistic. I'm looking at it as though my mom's name is Masai and she died of COVID-19 when she shouldn't have been exposed in the first place. So I noticed a different mindset that society's had or is having right now, and I believe people are entitled to their opinion. So if you want to look at data and look at deaths through a numerical manner, that is your decision. But those deaths have people with names and families, and there is a domino effect. So I'll give you an example, right? My mom had a routine back surgery, needed some rehab, only needed to spend a couple of weeks at a rehab facility, was sent over there. While there, contracted COVID-19, died horrendously, where I watched her slowly deteriorate through FaceTime because the hospitals aren't going to allow visitors because this is such a contagious virus. So the domino effect is I lost my mom and I didn't get a proper goodbye or hug, and I was also robbed of many more years because she had many more in her. So I want to talk a little bit about my mom. She was an artist. She was born over in Okinawa, Japan, and during the era when she was born, Okinawa was very, very poor. Lots of poverty in the area because you gotta remember World War II ended just a few years prior to that. So there was a lot of ramifications from World War II that still resulted in the poverty existing. So my mom had to talk to me about what it's like to be happy with what we have and the privileges that we have, even if they're small. Things such as running water, soap, food, candy, brushing your teeth. These are all the things that my mom talked to me about, how she didn't always get to experience and cherish those things when she was growing up, because she was born in 1947. So she taught me what it's like to really be fortunate to have these things such as makeup and these trivial items that I could probably do without, but I'm fortunate enough to have them, and I embrace that and I appreciate that. And I went to school. My mother didn't get a good education. When she came to the US after marrying my father, who is a Vietnam Bronze Star 5-tour veteran, who also has a very tragic past as well. English was really difficult for her to learn. I mean, she and I and my brother, we had like a broken Japanese English slang language that we developed that only we could understand. Some families just have that, like understanding what she says when she says things like, you oik me up, because she had trouble pronouncing English vowels. So I really appreciate and look back at those memories, and the gifts that she gave me, even when my parents were struggling financially. So let's talk a little bit about my father. My father is a hero. He's a tiny gentleman. I think he was like 5'1" or 2" when he was in the army, and he was a tunnel rat. And he also was wounded severely over in Vietnam. So he was out on patrol with his group of people, and I think it was a total of 6 men. And it was kind of like a ceasefire day, so they were just patrolling around and just scouting out the area and making sure the area was safe and clear. And eventually his platoon was ambushed. So the lookout gentleman, soldier, unfortunately was shot instantly with a machine gun and died. And then my dad was trying to gather up the other troops, the ones that were still alive. There weren't very many, and tried to protect themselves, and he managed to gather them together, radio over for help. And it turned out the base was also getting hit, so he thought he was a goner. And then when he was waiting, it turned out the Korean army was suddenly starting to respond. They were heading in the direction to help my father's platoon out, to try to help the remaining survivors. While waiting, my father was shot with a machine gun and was shot 3 times with an AK-47 and managed to live. Can you believe how strong of a man he is to be able to sustain 3 machine gun bullet wounds and still live? He talked about how he must have been in a state of shock. He was very lucky because his flak jacket protected a lot of his body, so the wounds made it so that they were critical, but if he sought medical help, he could live. Then a mortar round ended up hitting him, and the thing that saved him also caused further injury because the mortar landed in his flak jacket, and he still has shrapnel to this day. He's gonna be 74 in July. That still comes out of his body. So my father has been married to my mother for 46 years. He is now widowed on May 5th. And what does he have left? Well, he has his family. He has me and my brother, because some of his family, they live out of state, and you lose touch. But a lot of the people that he's known, they're gone already. So he had my mom, who was his support system, who he recently retired to take care of he wanted to take care of my mom. And he lost her, and he has 2 cats, Siamese cats, a Snowshoe and a chocolate Siamese cat, who, service animals can be any type of animal that gives you love and makes you feel good, and I strongly believe that those cats continue to keep him going. He adores them, and they love him. They go out on the porch with him, and they sit with him in his lap, and they just people watch, because you have to social distance. So my dad just hangs out with him and his cats, and I can't go and really visit him and anything. I try to FaceTime and call him every day. But the moral of the story is the domino effect is, I don't care that the primary people that are dying are older, because those older individuals are someone's mom, dad, uncle, grandparent, someone of significance, someone that matters. And age discrimination is unethical, and people have the right to be treated fairly and equally and feel valued. And I feel right now society is taken on a very interesting stance that I have personal opinions on. I won't get into it because it causes disagreements and whatnot, and that's not what this talk is about. But just remember, life matters. For every loss, there's 20 people that experience the pain of that loss. It's not like one and done and that's it and they're forgotten. And then on top of that, the injustice of it all is that I really don't think the nursing homes are going to be held accountable. I think that it's a broken system, and as soon as the pandemic starts to really become under control, you're going to continue to see poor quality care that already previously existed, but a lot of it was hidden because there was an ability to do so. The virus demonstrated weaknesses in the structure of the nursing home system. Things like quarantine plans weren't being practiced. They weren't being updated. And also it showed that people are not getting enough money to want to go work for these facilities, or the training is really poor, or you're just so busy because it's like maybe it's one nurse to 160 residents. How can you sit there and really give good quality care with that many people like working the floor? I mean, it's just it's tough. It's tough. So it needs to be reevaluated. That nursing home system really strongly needs to be reevaluated, because I keep saying this over and over again, but I'm aging and I'm not immune from getting old. And inevitably, one day I may end up being placed in a nursing home. Why do you think things like bed sores comes out? People experiencing high amounts of diseases such as MRSA spreading because improper cleanliness is occurring. There's a bigger problem here, and I'm really totally surprised that more people are not as outraged as I feel they are. Or maybe there are people that are outraged, but pretty much this virus is like mass killing people of a certain age in obscene numbers. And if you still have loved ones that are older, protect them. Do what you can. Do your due diligence. Please, please ask the questions. Ask the questions if you can. Don't sit there and assume that there's a place that's good. That you need to know what their CDC guidelines are. Are they following it? Is there an active case? How are they quarantining current patients? What is their measures to protect patients? Otherwise, how could there be 80 veteran deaths from the Soldiers Field nursing home over in Holyoke? 80 veterans? These are the people that served our country, and they died such a horrendous death. Believe me, I can tell you that COVID-19 is not an easy death. It's not like a heart attack and boom, you're done. You're on a ventilator, your body starts swelling, clots can develop, your body parts can start turning black because of bad circulation. And I don't want to hear this other stuff about, oh, what maybe they had underlying conditions. This illness it manifests in such a terrible, drastic way that it's horrible to see. I have images in my head that haunt me and will haunt me for the rest of my life. That will give me nightmares. You want to see something bad? Watch someone slowly dying for over a week and know that they're suffering and they're crying and they have to be sedated because the ventilator can't be ripped out if they inadvertently can't control themselves and move and do things. Like, this is serious stuff. So, question what's going on. Demand answers. Demand accountability. Because I don't know about you, but if I did my job poorly, I'm held accountable. I'm penalized. It's the same way. They're under the same rules that we are when we work. And there's a lot of hard working class people that are expected to give 100%. And when they do, they aren't recognized. That's just the job. That's, oh, great, you did your job. Awesome. But then the people that only do 5% of their job, and then it results in the deaths of many, and suddenly, no accountability. 21 deaths from this nursing home where my mother was at. To me, that's equivalent to mass murder. I mean, if there was an investigation done and it turns out neglect was involved, then you define what that is. But I know what my opinion of that is if you intentionally neglected the care of your residents and it contributed to their death in mass numbers, then it's something very, very bad, and it should be questioned. So please join me in questioning why these investigations are taking so long and why there's no answers being given to us as members of society. Because we have the right to know and we have the right to protect our loved ones.